Hi, I'm Tim Probert, the editor of Personal Care magazine. I'm here at SCS Formulate Coventry, UK, and I'm now with Andrew McDougall, who's the Director of Beauty and Personal Care Insights at Mintel. And Andrew has given a very interesting presentation here this week, setting out the trends that Mintel are forecasting for 2026. And first was metabolic beauty, and relating to ingredients, Andrew mentioned NAD plus and other ingredients. So what is it about NAD plus that you see as a trend for next year and beyond?
It's one of those ingredients, I think that I hate that term, hero ingredients, but it is one of those ingredients that has been spoken about quite a lot, particularly for what it can do, particularly on that cellular level as well. That idea that you're going to be able to optimize your skin health going forward, and obviously that can then lead to scalp and things like that as well.
Sure.
But it's one of those trends that, one of those ingredients that is trending right now, particularly on social media. People are looking out for these types of ingredients, and we always see those over the years. Retinol famously did it. PDRN out of Korea is now coming into play a bit more. But it's, as I say, from some of our predictive sort of social analytics that we've seen, biohacking conversations have grown, not biohacking, the NAD plus conversations have grown quite a lot over the last couple of years, suggesting that this is going to be an emerging and growing thing to look for. So again, it's one of those ingredients that consumers are looking for because they've seen what the benefits can be.
Right. Yeah, I'm not the only one to mention that. BASF mentioned it. They also mentioned taurine as well.
Yes, yeah.
Is that something you picked up on, taurine?
We haven't. So the conversations we have that we've seen around taurine as opposed to NAD plus are not quite at the same level. But again, those growing ingredients we constantly monitor with our sort of new products database and looking at what ingredients are trending or sort of seeing this upward curve, alongside things like the social analytics to sort of understand consumer sentiment behind that as well. So we are sort of tracking those kind of slowly growing ingredients that are going to be interesting to see in the future.
Very good. And another factor you mentioned in the metabolic beauty was that you see growth of consumers, the same consumer, increasingly using topical and ingestible beauty products. Would you like to talk about?
Yeah, it's this kind of that word holistic, which I think gets used too much. But I think when we talk about longevity and we think about not just in beauty, like when we think of aging now, it's not just about beauty; it's about health, physical, mental. All these things sort of interact and come together. So that blurring or that combination now or complement now of ingestible and topical. Again, it's always been there in beauty, but now it has that narrative that will resonate well with consumers. And from our data, we have seen that consumers think that their diet has just as much impact on their beauty as the topical products they use. So, and that's for a majority of markets globally. So
I was about to ask you, is that a particular region or is it just worldwide trend?
No, so we asked that question in 36 markets globally, and every single one is in a majority. Some of them higher than others, but yeah, it's quite often we do see that link between diet and beauty now is there, and we're already seeing that with a number of nutrition and supplement brands making beauty claims and playing in that space, because that crossover is obviously appealing for them as well.
And is that those ingestible products, do they tend to be collagen, or do you see certain trends as well there, the particular type of ingestible products?
So collagen is one that I think is quite familiar, and I think that for just thinking about it from a psychological level, if things are familiar, we're more likely to try them. Collagen, again, has proven benefits. Orally administered, it's obviously more potent than just topically applied as well, although obviously it is useful topical as well. Okay. So collagen is maybe one of them, but we're seeing that with a whole host of other sort of ingredients as well. Retinol, obviously a famous hero ingredient of the years in anti-aging. Now you can get ingestible retinol as well. The world's first retinol has been sort of developed for that purpose as well. So again, that familiarity of something I know and something I can use. It's interesting to see it go that way from a topical to an ingestible, because so often we see, for example, beauty ingredients that were trending with things like coconut oil or avocado or something that was always edible. So that familiarity story, I think, is really important.
Interesting. And another key theme of your presentation was beyond the algorithm. So a bit of a pushback against AI. But perhaps what's particularly pertinent for this industry, the raw materials, the ingredient suppliers, is what I guess is AI is very important to formulators in the lab, but I guess the customer, they don't want to be saying it's just being done AI. They want the human touch, the human testing. Is that something that you see as increasingly important?
Yeah, so the beyond the algorithm human touch revolution prediction is very much about consumer fatigue around AI, just that term AI slop, where everything just seems quite samey because everyone's using the same processes, the same thing, the same prompts. So I think in that regard, sometimes, particularly when it's that rush to launch, sometimes for brands, then you do have the sameness that may come through that again because AI is still quite samey in what it's producing.
Sure.
However, that's not to say that AI, it's already out there, it's being utilised. It's been utilised in some wonderful ways. I've spoken to so many formulators that say they couldn't do their job, or their job would be much more complex or take much longer if they weren't using AI. So implementing their own or coding their own AI sort of systems that will then help them with doing a lot of that grunt work, a lot of that plumbing. That will help with operational efficiency and scaling that way. So, as I say, the prediction very much isn't about AI completely. It's just that consumer side is quite fatigued, and so that connection and that human element is still really important. But that was always going to be the case. AI was never going to fully replace us. Hopefully, it was always going to be about how we work with it going forward. And as I say, in R&D, we've probably found a better middle ground for that than on the end user level.
But the testing and the ingredient companies do an awful lot of testing, claims testing, to prove the efficacy of their ingredient. But that can be done with AI to a certain extent. That can't replace human testing.
No, I think you're always going to need the human validation, the human sense check. The human is going to be the one. It's kind of like a chef. Again, they're the one that's actually making the actual meal for you. So the scientist or the R&D person is always going to be the one that's actually making the physical product. So they're going to be the one sort of troubleshooting as they go, or seeing if something works, if the galenic properties are right, if the stability is right in the formulation. So AI will obviously help with the search and with sort of reverse engineering and finding what could be done, and it will definitely help speed that process up. But you're still going to need that human creativity and validation, sense check, and even with the storytelling that once you've got the ingredient, again, it's the R&D and the marketing that will work together to define what that narrative is going to be. So I think, that's a really interesting sort of space to look at.
Absolutely fascinating. Well, thank you very much for your time, Andrew. I really
thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you very much. Cheers.